Hello, everyone. I hope I'm live now. So, a very good evening to all. Uh, I hope that my voice is pretty much clear to everyone. If possible, those who are joining me live, please give me the confirmation that whether I am clearly audible, properly visible, or not. And I hope that you already have seen from the heading as well as from the thumbnail itself that the objective of today's session is to talk about the Python's functional tools. That is, we will talk about four important functions that we have in Python with the practical application. We'll try to see both of them, where we will see that the very first thing is about what is Lambda function. Afterwards, we will try to discuss about the map, reduce, filter functions that we have in Python. So, before we will jump in towards the same, I will request everyone, those who are joining me live, to let me know that whether I am clearly audible or not. And maybe I'll wait for a few moments so that everyone will join. And after that, maybe I'll start the session. Okay. So, can I get the confirmation from anyone whether I am clearly audible or not? Those who are joining me live. Meanwhile, if you have any logistics, any questions regarding whatsoever playlist we are doing, you can ask me. Okay. Meanwhile, people are joining, you can ask me the questions if you have. With respect to career, with respect to anything, with respect to DSA, with respect to data science, if you have any questions, please do ask. Uh, Hi, good evening. Hello, Vinay. How are you? A very good evening, Vikas. Audible. Thank you so much, Shivam, for the confirmation. Okay. Teja is saying, fine, that's superb. I think people have joined as well. So, what we can do is let me try to share my screen and then maybe you can let me know, okay, that whether I am properly, my screen is properly visible or not. Let me share my screen first. Perfect. Is my screen is visible to everyone? Yep. I think visible, right? I have seen that. So, perfectly fine. So let me, before people are joining, let me give you again brief overview that a few days back only we have started our very fresh playlist of Python programming, and here maximum sessions you will observe are in the live session, just like the way we have conducted today. So here, if you will observe all these sessions, all the recorded sessions which I have done as a live on the days, were in the sequence. So if there is someone who is watching this session for the very first time, so all the sessions you can just watch it out at any point of time for the revision per se, for the knowledge per se, right? And you can check it out. The playlist is in a sequence, so please make sure that you will watch in this sequence itself, because the concepts are from easy or from scratch level till the very advanced level. Okay. And the today's session will also be there. If you will observe, the today's session of mastering Python functional tools is also there in this particular playlist itself. Okay. I hope it is fine. Apart from this, if you will observe, many people on the LinkedIn chat were requesting from me that where will we be able to access the notes or the resources, the code files which you are writing in the live session. So as I said, that if you will just search Priya Bhatia GitHub itself, Priya Bhatia GitHub, you will be able to see my profile. Okay. If you will go to the very first link, you will be able to see the repositories, and inside the repositories, if you will go and check it out, the very first playlist is Python programming. There you will be able to get all the resources which you required. Okay. So please make sure that you will be able to access these resources from this particular profile. Okay. Apart from this, there is no as such resource which I'm giving. So whatever things I'm teaching in the live session, I'm uploading here itself. So I hope so far so good. I think now it's being 8:05, and those who want to join me live, they already have joined. So let's start with the today's session, where we will have a focus on functional programming part, where we will talk about the functional tools that we have in Python. The very first thing that I will talk about in today's session is the Lambda functions. Lambda functions in Python. So anyone who is aware about what is Lambda functions? I hope that you already have watched my previous sessions where I have talked about the functions in Python and how we can define any function in Python. In today's session, we will be focusing on lambda functions. So when I'm saying lambda functions, it's nothing but it's a anonymous function. Anonymous function. So when I'm saying anonymous functions, what is the meaning of that? A function whose name is not defined, who is not properly defined by a def keyword, just like the way in normal functions we usually define. If you remember, any function in Python, whenever we're talking about functions in Python, so if you remember, I think now those who are there with me from the very start, they already are aware that all the functions in Python we already defined by a def keyword. I hope you all are aware about the fact, right? So you all know that def keyword is something. So let's say if I want to you know cube the numbers, so what I will do in a normal programming paradigm, what I will do is, let's say I want to cube any number. So what I will do is I'll try to separately define a function. So if I'll say that, if someone will say that, um implement a function where the result is the cube of a given number. Let's say this is the equation, this is the thing that we want to find out. So in a normal way, what do you usually do? You usually define the function by the name of def, let's say cube of a number x, which is a parameter. And what you will return the value as x into x into x. Simple, right? And now if let's say you will say cube of 3, what output you will be able to get? So if I'll just say print of cube of 3, so here if you will observe, the result that we will be able to get is 27. This is the normal thing that we usually do. So this is the normal way to define any function. Yes or no? This is how basically we used to define any function in Python until so far. That is what we have discussed in our previous past sessions as well. So whenever there is a need will come to define a separate function, in the past complete sessions, if you will observe, I was doing this kind of a thing where I was defining via the def keyword itself. Do you remember that? Now in today's session, what I'm trying to do is, I want to do the same thing within a single line of code without using this def kind of a keyword. So if let's say I want to implement the same thing, how can I do? So what I will do is, I'll try to create an object to store the values, let's say lambda cube. Okay. And what I will do, the way to define the lambda function. So here I'm talking about there is a new concept for you all. If you are watching from a scratch, until so far I didn't talk about this concept. There is a concept of lambda functions. So what I have said, that this is something that we can say is a anonymous functions. Okay, this is something that we can say is a anonymous functions. Anonymous functions. What is the meaning of that? For which there is no as such name is defined, as well as you will be observing that can be used to define a single line of code. So here if you will see, in a single line itself, you will be able to define the task and your task will be done. That's the beauty about this lambda functions. So let's say I want to define a cube of any number, the same code which I have written down above. How can I write it in a one line? So you have to use a keyword lambda. You have to use a keyword lambda. Now what do you want to do? You want a value of x to be returned as x into x into x. That's what you have done in the above case. Yes or no? So now what you can do, if I'll just call this value lambda cube and pass the value parameter as, let's say, 3 again. So you will observe that the same answer I will be able to get. Can you see that? So the above answer which I was getting as 27, again I'm getting the same answer. So in a way, both of them are doing the same task, but the way or the approach of doing the same thing is a bit different. Is this part is clear to everyone? So the way to represent a lambda functions, or to write a lambda functions, is lambda keyword. After that, the value. After that, what is the return value you want to get? Okay, what is the return part you want to get? The argument, and what is the return type? For example, you want to do a cube of a number. You want to add to numbers. Anything which you can think of. So this is the way where this is how basically, without using any def keyword, we will be able to define our functions pretty well. Now let's say if I will be having a let's say some other example we can take, where we will be having maybe a list of numbers. So let's say I'm saying L1 is equals to, maybe we will be having 2, 4, 5, 7, 9. Okay, let's, before jumping towards this number, let's say we will be having two numbers, 5 and 6. Now what I want is, I want the addition of those two numbers. So what I want is, I want the addition of two numbers. Simple. So what I'm saying is, you need to implement a code to add two numbers. So I'm taking a very simple example. After that, we will talk about the complex examples. Now, how can we do via the lambda functions? Via the same function, you can define a sum function where you can return the value of x plus y. Via the lambda functions, what you can do? Again, what you can do is sum, or you can say lambda sum. This is the variable which I am defining. Again, the lambda keyword. After that, you can say what you will give as a parameter, which the user will type x comma y, let's say. Okay, two values are there, and what you want as an answer is the addition of these two numbers. You want x plus y, yes or no? This is what you want. So a user will give x and y, and what you are returning as an answer is x plus y. So let's say if I will say lambda, the variable that I have defined, sum in the brackets, let's say if I'll mention 2 comma 3, 2 comma 3. So this is the input which is given by the user, 2 and 3. What I want is, I want the addition of these two numbers. So let's see what is the result we will be able to get. So with just one line of code in Python, we will be able to do that. Can you see that? That's the beauty about these functions. So what I want is, I want to implement a code which adds two numbers, right? That, you can say, adds two numbers, and just within two lines of one line of a code itself, you will be able to do that. Now I hope that it is pretty much clear to everyone that what's the beauty about these lambda functions. First of all, there is no need to define as such the def keyword and to define the bigger code. In one single line of a code, we can define what's the input of the user, colon, what's the return type which we want to get from the user. That's it. Is this part is clear to everyone? Shall we move ahead to the next important part which I want to discuss, so that we will be having a complex queries to discuss now? Is this clear? Can I get some confirmation from everyone? Yes? Okay, perfect. Perfect. So now what we can do is, let's take a dictionary. I hope everyone is aware about the fact that what is dictionary. Okay. So what I will do is, I'll try to create a dictionary. And what I want from you is that, let's say, these kind of questions can be asked from you in an interview as well. Let's say they are saying that you need to sort a list of dictionaries, okay, on the basis of a specific key, on the basis of a specific key. For example, let's say, I'll give you one simple example. Let's say I'll try to create one dictionary of maybe employ employ records. I hope everyone knows what is dictionary. It's a key value pair, right? It's a key value pair. So now what I want to do is, I will create a list of dictionaries. So let's say the name of the person is, maybe, whosoever is watching me live, let's write their names. Maybe the first name is, I'll write as John. Okay. Let's say the age of a person is, I'm writing it as maybe 29. Okay, not equal to, its colon. After that, let's say the next thing is, I would like it as occupation. Maybe the occupation is engineer. This is the first data that I have. Similarly, I can have more data points. So I'll just copy this out, and we'll try to create a similar kind of a record. Maybe, let's say, I'll write it down for record something like this. Again, comma, like this. Let's say the second name is maybe Vikas, who is watching me live. Age is, let's say, 25. Occupation is maybe, as of now, I'm writing it as a doctor. Another name is maybe Nikhil, whose name I can see on my screen. Age is maybe, let's say, 25. Occupation is again engineer. Another name maybe let's say Teja. Okay, another name which I can see on my screen. So here the age will be, let's say, 23, and occupation is maybe again maybe data scientist, you can say data scientist. Okay, now this is the record set of records that we have. Perfect. Now what I want to achieve here is, let's say I will say that on the basis of the age of a people, on the basis of a age of a people, return me the data points. So this is a record that you have for the employees. Now what I want from you is, on the basis of a age, sort this data. Okay, meaning that Teja record will come first, then maybe Nikhil, then maybe Vikas, or Vikas Nikhil, they can interchange. After that, John. Okay, this is how I want the record to be done. So what you can do in Python, I hope you all know that we have something called as a sorted function, which will sort the records. So I can mention which record I want to sort down. I have a records of employee records. That's fine. But what I want is, on which key I want this sorting to be done. What I told you, I want this sorting to be done on the basis of the age value. So what I want is, I want that key value is equal to what? I will define lambda. This is the lambda function which I will define. The key is x, which is x of age, which is defining that what we are looking for as a factor differentiator of a sorted function is age. So that is what we have defined here. So if I'll just click on this run button, you will observe that what is happening. First of all, Teja will come, okay, because he is having an age of 23. Then because Vikas came first in the record, it is giving the output Vikas as the second one, then the Nikhil, and then the John. Makes sense? Is this part is clear to everyone? Yes or no? So far so good? This is fine. Can I get some confirmation? Let's say I want that after the age, I want that my code after the age will consider the alphabetical order to print the pattern, to print the sorted order. Okay. What I will do? I will do a very minute change. Anyone can tell me? What I'm saying is, for example, here two people are having the same age, 25 and 25. So on the basis of the name value also, they will try to sort it down. What I will do in that case? So after age, what I want is, if any person is having the same age, so for that case, for example, in this case, we will be having a Vikas and Nikhil. Let's say we will take few more names. Maybe I'll just add one more record in this particular case by age of 25 itself. Maybe I'll say I will be having a name as, maybe I'll add myself, Priya. Let's say I'll add the age as 25, and maybe occupation is engineer. So now here we will be having Priya at the age of 25, Nikhil, and Vikas. So what I want is, I want on the basis of alphabetical orders the age should come. As of now, if you will observe, it is giving me a pattern on the basis of the first and first, like FIFO order. But what I'm looking for is, I want that on the basis of the alphabetical manner after age, it will try to print it the data. Meaning, uh, P, then V, like that. Priya should come first before Vikas. Nikhil, Priya, and Vikas, like that. This is how the pattern should print. So what should I do? Anyone who is having any answer, who can guess it out? Let's see if anyone will be able to give me a correct result. So I want to do the similar kind of a thing, but with a minute change. So as of now, what I have done is, I have sorted the data on the basis of the key value as age. This is what I have done here, right? I hope this part is clear to everyone. Now, what I am saying is, the next important part which I want to do is, I want to sort the data. I think sort the data on the basis of what? On the basis of key value as age followed by the name. That's what I want to do. So what should I do? Anyone who can give me a code for that? Anyone who can give me a code for that? Any guesses? Very simple. If you will observe, it's very simple. In the lambda function, Where the major change will come? Any answer can I get? Very simple. What I want is, after the age, my code will look for what? In terms of doing a sorting part, my code will look for name. That's what I want. Yes or no? So let's try to see the answer. What we're getting now. If you will observe, Nikhil came first, then Priya, then Vikas. That's what I want, right? So they're having an age of 25 because all of them are having an age of 25 on the basis of the name. If you will observe, N came first, then P, and then V. I hope you can see the difference between the above result that we're getting and the below result that we're getting. So this is how basically, on the basis of different problems which an interviewer can give you, or even if you are writing any sort of project part per se, where you are doing any sort of data analysis problem, these kind of functions will be really helpful for you, will be really handy for you. If there is someone who is not aware about these functions, he or she will write maybe 7 or 8 lines of code, as comparable to someone who is already aware about these facts, right? So time management is also very important. If, let's say, you are doing something within few seconds, as comparable to your colleague who is doing maybe within half an hour, automatically your productivity is much better, and you will be having a very good appreciation point in that part, right? So always make sure that these small things will also play a very pivotal role in our career. So always remember that these functions are really important, in terms of, specifically I am saying, Python programming language, whenever you are doing data analysis part, specifically in any kind of a data science projects. Shall we move ahead now? As of now, maybe when you're learning these stuffs, you will not find a maybe great beauty about this, but once you start applying these in your practical real life examples, you will observe that these things learning will make a lot of difference between you versus the person who is not aware about these facts. So shall we move ahead now to the next important part? So this is overall examples of lambda functions which I have covered up till now. Now there is something that we have, which we call as a map in the Python itself. Until so far, we have talked about lambda functions, where we have seen that the way to represent a lambda function is lambda. Okay, the variable, for example, we have taken an example of a cube, whatever cube you want. After that, whatever be the input given by the user, colon, the return type, like which is the return thing you want to make user to get as an output. So this is the way to represent a lambda function, to write a lambda function. And we have seen a lot of examples with respect to that. Now let's move to the second part of today's session, where I want to talk about something called as a map function. Again, inbuilt function. Now, the person who is already aware about the tech stack of a big data or data engineering tech stack, he or she in the very starting must have seen the concept of map reduce. Map reduce. The similar concept is there in Python. So there is a functions that we have. So what is map? As the name itself suggests, even when we talk about the dictionary based data structure, we usually say that there is a mapping between key value pair. The simple way of map is that we are trying to map our original data that we have to something which we want as an output. For example, just simple example I want to share here. Let's say if someone is giving you a problem statement where he is saying that I will provide you a list of numbers. For example, let's say I want list L1 as 2, 4, 6, 11, maybe 10. Okay. This is a list that I have. Now, I hope you all know what is list, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So here we have a list of numbers. This is a list of numbers that we have. Now, what I want is, I'm saying that I want a square of the list numbers that I have. Every number square I want of this L1. Means what I want as an output is, I want 2 will be mapped with a value 4. 4 will be mapped with a value of 16. 6 will be mapped with a value of 36. 11 will be mapped with a value of 121. 10 will be mapped with a value of 100. This is how basically I am looking for an output. So what I want is, I want that every number in my list L1 will be mapped with the another list which is square of L1. Now, in simple words, if I will give this kind of a problem of squaring or maybe cubing, where every element is having some output, each and every element is mapped with some output, what you will do? Maybe you will define some extra specific function to do that, right? For example, if I will, what is the problem statement? I want to implement a function which results the square of every number available in the list, right? This is what we want. Every number available in the list. That is important to understand. That's where mapping word came into picture. That what we want is we want every number to be mapped with some specific number as an output. That is why we will utilize something called as a map function here. Now, before talking about this map function, if I'll talk about in simple words what you will do, what is your answer? You will say to me that what I will do is I'll do a very simple task. Let's say you will provide me list L1, which is having values like 2, 4, 5, 7, and 9. What I will do is I'll try to create some new list L1, which is an empty list where I will store my output. I'll define the function, which is, or maybe if I'll not define, what I will do is I'll just try to apply one for loop, which will say for ELE in L1. So it will pick each and every element present in list L1, and I'll try to append the square of every element square, power 2. And finally, what I will do is I'll try to print what is the value of new L1. Simple. What I will do is I'll try to print the new list L1. So what is happening is we will be having a list L1, and what we have done is, in simple words, if someone will give you this question, this is the simple way which you will apply. I'm pretty sure you will say that what I will do is I'll try to scan the entire list by applying a simple for loop. It will take each and every element. I have initialized a new list L1, and what I will do is I will try to append the data points that we have. Will keep on doing the square power 2 in the new list L1, and then I'll print that. If you will observe the task which I want to do, like 2 corresponding to 4, 4, 16, 5, 25, 7, 49, 9, 81. That's what the output that I was expecting. Yes or no? Very simple. But now I can say to you that this same task I can do very easily within one single line. You will be very, very amazed how it can be done. We have list L1, right? So what I can do is I will apply one simple function called as map, which is an inbuilt function in Python again. Very, very interesting, very, very important. Please try to understand what is happening here. What I will do is I'll apply lambda function inside this, because what I want is I want that input is list L1. What I want is, as I told you, the way to write a lambda function is, what is the input? It is L1, which is entered by the user. So I have list L1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, right? What I want is every element square will be done. So L1 double power 2, right? This is the power of 2. Now what I want is the input value is again L1. So what I have mentioned, this is the lambda function I have mentioned. On which particular value you want to apply this lambda function? On L1 list. Now I want the output to come in the form of a list, right? So what I will do is I'll typecast this in the form of a list. So typecasting is done. I hope I already have talked about this concept of typecasting, where we can convert one type to another. So what I have done is I have converted my output in the form of a list. And now what I will do is I will just store it in the separate list called as maybe L2. And I'll print this L2. Simple. I'll print this L2. Shall we try to see what is the output we will be able to get? Let's see. Can you see that? Whatever code I have written above, the same line of code within one single line, I will be able to print that. The same logic which I have written above, I will be able to get that. How? With the help of this map function. So you have to understand what this map function is doing. At any point of time, if you will feel like that the person who is already aware about map reduce concept in big data, I think they are already aware about these things. But those who are not from this background, I'm explaining you that at any point of time, if you feel like there is a mapping of each and every number available in a data structure, for example, dictionary is again a mapping of key value pairs, right? Every key is mapped with a value. That's what it's called as a mapping. hash map in Java we have, right? Map, again what is coming into picture. Similarly here in this function also, if in a list you want to map every value present in the list with some other value, maybe a square, maybe cube, anything which you can think of, at that point of time you can apply this map function. Now you have to define, first of all I have defined the lambda function. Now you know what is this lambda function is all about. What I want is, I want the input value to be taken as L1, and what I want is every number will be of power 2. Now what is the, where you want to apply this kind of a function? I want to apply in the list L1. This is what I have defined, and I have typecast my output in the form of a list. Because if you will not write this, if let's say I will write the only inside thing, you will observe that it will return the object. So let's see this. What you can see, it is returning the object of a map. What I want is, I want the list of that. So this is where you will typecast this value, and you will be able to store this inside L2, and this is how you will be able to get the exactly same output which we get above as well. Is that part is clear to everyone? So Farhina already talked about this question, which I already have explained, that if the map is, what will be the output if map is not used here? Okay, so what she is saying, that if I will use this kind of a thing, I believe she's saying, talking about this. Okay, so what will be the output of this function? Let's say if I'll store it somewhere. So, and now if you will try to maybe pass something inside this, maybe 2, 4, 3, 5, let's say. So you will observe one problem is there. It is not picking up each and every element inside the value. So what is happening here? If you will type maybe, let's say like this, then it is like a squaring of an individual number. Then it will work perfectly fine. But in any problem, if let's say you want to have to scan all the elements, you can't do this without using a map function. I hope that is the question which she was talking about, Farina, that what will be the output if map is not used here. So what she was interested or curious about to listen is that whether we will be able to scan all the elements or not. No, you can consider that this map function is doing the similar task which in your normal code for loop is doing. So what for loop is doing is, for loop is trying to scan all the elements that that we have in list L1. That is what is done by this map function. If you will not apply this map function, you will not able to get the entire list square values. You will be able to get only single element square value. So that is the important thing which you have noted down here, right? uh okay, can we check using the map function if elements of one list are present in another list or not? It's a very good question. Let's say you will be having a two list. Okay, again it's a interview based question. Interviewer can also ask you the similar kind of a question. Let's say you will be having a list L1. Maybe you will be having a list L1 which contains the values like 2, 5, 7, 9. Then you will be having a list L2 which contains maybe 2 and 7. Okay, now I'm looking for a question where, like the Vinay have asked, that let's say I want to print the elements which are available or which are common in both of them. So what I want as an output, I think the same problem is available on the lead code platform also. If you will check it out, I'm looking for output called as 2 comma 7, which is available in both the list, kind of an intersection of both the list. That's what we are looking for. So you only tell me that in this kind of a question or in this kind of a problem, can we apply the map function? Is the map function is something which will be able to generate this kind of a result? Think over it. And if yes, how? If no, why? Give me the reason for both of them. I hope the problem statement is clear to everyone. I already have explained what is the purpose of map function, right? So basically, I have said that the utility of a map function is that whenever you want to map something or you want to scan the entire list and corresponding to every element available in the list, you are looking for some kind of output. That too for every number. For every number, you can't have a single output in a map. Always remember, that's where we have some different function. You want to scan the entire list and correspond to every element available in the list. You are looking for some kind of output. So if you are having a list 10 numbers, you want to look for 10 values further. Okay, correspond to every value. I hope you're getting my point. Now, will this problem, this kind of a function, will be helpful in this kind of a problem statement? If yes, how? If no, how and why? Anyone who can tell me? So Farina is saying that yes, it is possible. Can you let me know how is that possible? So I have talked about map function in very clear detail. Now, how do you think that, after applying the map function in list L1 and L2, you will be able to get the value as 2 comma 7? I hope the problem statement is clear to everyone, that what we are looking for is, we are looking for the common, or you can say intersection values of both L1 and L2. Think over it. So before jumping towards the answer, let me introduce you few more questions. Then maybe you're in a good position to answer that which kind of a function will be helpful in this case. As of now, I have just talked about map function, where I have said you that for every given value, you have some corresponding output. Let me talk about few more functions, and then maybe it will be very helpful and clear to you that which kind of a function will be helpful in this case, in this scenario. So let's jump in towards another important concept, which is about a reduce function that we have. Then we will come back to this question again, or maybe I can give you that as an assignment as well. Let's see. So we will be having another function called as reduce function. Okay, before jumping to this as well, let me move towards the filter function. It is a very interesting. I hope everyone in their home, in their kitchen, have some filter, maybe RO they have, right? Which basically filters all the impurities and will give us a very good quality of water. The similar kind of a thing is there in the filter function. Let's say you will be having a list of numbers and you want to filter out few numbers out of them. Listen my statement very carefully. Many people are very confused in these functions. I don't know why. If you will understand the things with some real practical examples, you will be able to get an understanding. What I'm saying is, just like a normal filter in our homes, just like we usually use in our kitchen, where filter is something which is basically filter out the impurities and give us a good quality water. Similarly, in our Python, we have a filter function where, let's say, any problem is given to you, where you have to find out the subset of a given list. You want to find out the filter part of a list. For example, I will give you one simple problem statement, and I think you will be able to get an idea of what filter function is all about. Let's say I will say you one problem statement that given a list, return the even elements, return the even elements available in the list. Available in the list. Suppose this is the problem statement that we have. So what I want is, at any point of time, I want somehow the subset of the given list by having some sort of constraints which are given to you. So in that kind of scenario, we will always go for a filter kind of a function. Now, in this case, what do you think? How basically we can do that? So I hope everyone knows what is the condition of getting a even number. The simple condition is that the value of x modulus 2, the number modulus 2, should be equal to 0. So what you will do is, let's say you will be having a list L2 or maybe list L3, which is equals to 2, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 12, 16. Let's say this is the list that we have. What I want is, I want a list L4, which is a maybe new list, which contains a even number values. For that, what I'm saying is, I have to apply the filter function, because I want to get a subset of a given list. In map, I want every corresponding number in a list as an output, some other number, maybe the square, which I have talked about. In filter, we want a subset of a given list. So what I will do, I'll apply the condition. So I will use the lambda function which will take the input as, let's say, any number x. What I want is, I want to check whether the x modulus 2 is equal to 0. So this condition will check it out that whether the number is even or odd. On which particular list you want to check? I want to check on the list L3. And I want the output is in the form of a list. So I will convert or typecast it in the form of a list. After that, I'll print simply the value of L4. I'll print simply the value of L4. So if I just click on this, what you're getting as an output is 2, 12, and 16. So what I have got is, I have got a filtered value. I return the even elements that we have. I have applied the condition. This is the simple condition. Now again, someone can ask me that if I'll not apply the filter, I'll just apply the lambda function like this. In that case, again, you can check for single element, whether that single element is a even or odd. But to check the entire list of elements, you can apply the filter function. So now what happened is that in a complete list L3 that you have, you will be able to get the subset of that list that is L4. Now again, think over the same question, which I think Vinay has asked, that whether we can apply map. Second function which we have discussed is filter. Now third we will discuss also. Then you will think, out of these three functions, can we do this something kind of this in this particular problem as well? So always remember, map function is only applicable wherever you want to get a map of every number. Here, are you getting a map of every number? Think over it. Yes or no? What is your answer? Filter function will always be applicable wherever you want to get a subset of a given number. For example, when you want to purify the water, you are getting from that complete water subset of that water, which is a quality water. Similarly, here also we are getting in a complete list only those numbers which are having an even value. Similarly, you can get a number which are having an odd value and so on. So I hope that these two functions, which is map, filter, is pretty much clear to everyone. So in the very starting, I have talked about lambda functions in a great detail. I have explained you with the examples. After that, if you remember, I have talked about something called as a map. After that, I have talked about filter. Now in the very last part, I want to talk about something called as a reduce function. Again, a very interesting function. Now reduce is always applicable wherever you want to get a single output. You want to reduce your complete list into one output. So given a list, for example, if I'll give you one simple question here, return the sum of the entire list. So what I want to do here is, I want to reduce my answer. I want to reduce my answer of a complete list. Yes or no? So basically, reduction is something which is available only when you have a complete data points and you want to get a clear cut single output. So always remember, you want to get a single output. That is what you called it as a reduce function. It can be anything. It can be average. It can be maximum finding. It can be sum. It can be anything, but a single output, if anyone demands from you, you will be able to have to apply a reduce function in that case. I'll give you one simple practical time real time example as well in the big data tech terminology. But before that, please wait for a while. Let me give you in this context, and then maybe I'll give you the practical example as well where it is applicable. Oops. Okay, let me do one thing. Perfect. Now let's try to understand what I'm trying to convey here. Maybe you will be having a list L3, right? You will be having a list L3. What I'm saying is, I want a summation of this list L3. So in order to do that, first of all, you need to import the reduce. Always in Python, you need to import the reduce from a function tools where it is available, where this function is available. You need to import that, otherwise it will not work. Now what I want is, I want a sum of entire list that I want. Okay? So what you have to do, you have to apply a reduce function because you want to get a single output out of the complete list that you have. You will apply a lambda function here where you will be having a value of x and the value of y. And what you want is, you want the addition of these two numbers. So what will happen? This kind of thing, it will apply for all the upcoming two elements. For the consecutive two elements, it will keep on adding the numbers. On which list you want this to be done? Maybe on the list L3. And then maybe you can print what is the sum of the list you will be able to get. So if you will just run this particular thing, you will be able to get the addition of all these available numbers that you have. 2 plus 3, it will be 5. 5 plus 5, 10. 10 plus 7, 17. 17 plus 9, and then so on. You can keep on adding the numbers, you will be able to get this kind of output. So what is happening is, for a complete entire list that we have, we will be able to get the sum of that. Yes or no? Now let's try to get into a basic terminology of, so here we have talked about in a third important point about the filter part, right? Where I have said you that this function is applicable only when you want to get a subset of a given data structure or given list. If let's say you're using a list, at the very end we have talked about reduce function, where I have talked about at any point of time, if you want to get a single result, maybe sum, maybe average, maybe someone is saying maximum, maybe someone is saying minimum of a entire given list, of a entire given list, then you have to use something called as a reduce function. Now I will provide you one simple functionality of a big data map reduce processing. In big data, in the initial part, now we have Spark to use for the processing per se. In the industry, people are using Spark, but in the very initial part, the basic was map reduce only, which is basically helpful for the, you can say, multi processing task, where we will be having multiple machines which are working the same task. Okay, so this is basically for the processing per se, that to a faster processing of a very huge amount of a data. That's where the initial concept came into picture. Now this map, this reduce function came from this only. Okay, now here if you will observe, let's say in the real time, I will give you one simple example. I am saying that I will provide you document of maybe 1 TB. Okay, you have a document, maybe not 1 TB, let's say very huge document is there, let's say 16 TB. Now what I will say is, I will be having 16 TB document, and in this document I want to filter out, I want to get how many times this priya word is available. So I want to count the sum, or you can say I want to do the summation, or let's say count is a good word, I think, count of this word priya. So what I will do is, because 16 TB is a very big file and I can't do the load of this one file in my local system, maybe what I will do is I will try to use 4 machines. Okay, and I'll split my data into these 4 machines, via which we will be able to get a faster result, and our machine will also don't hang out. That's how the initial concept of big data was originated. It is basically specifically used to handle a huge amount of a data. Now here if you will observe, let's say you have divided into 4 parts, 4 TB, 4 TB, 4 TB, 4 TB each. So we will be having a specific different machines, where we will be having maybe 0 to 4 TB in the starting, 4 to 8 here, 8 to 12 here, 12 to 16 here. Now this is called as a cluster in the terminology of data engineering: C1, C2, C3, and C4. Now what usually happens? Now in this, each and every, this is where mapper task will be done, where every file correspond to every cluster which I have, I want some output. What is that output? I want a count of the word priya. So every machine will be able to give me some output, and that's what we call as a mapper stage, where we will be having for every machine the output of the count of the values of the word priya. Now let's say C1 is saying that the count of the priya word is 10. C2 is saying that the count of the priya word is 20. C3 is saying it is 30. C4 is saying, let's say, it is 5. Now what happens, that all these 4 machines are working simultaneously, which helps me to reduce the time. I will be able to get the result much faster. And now what will happen is, this is what the mapper stage, which we call as in data engineering per se as well, where, why it is mappers? Because every machine task is mapped with some output. C1 will give me some output, C2 will give me some output, C3, although they are doing the same task, but the output will be different because the file is different for all these 4 machines. Now last stage is something which we call as a reducer stage, where what I want is I want a single output, because what I am looking for is a out of a complete file of 16 TB, what is the count of a term Priya. So this is where which we call as a reducer phase, where we are looking for a single output, not the individual output of every machine. So where what will happen is they used to count each and every value, 10 plus 20 plus 30 plus 5. So 30, 50, 60, 65. That's where we will be able to get the final result as 65, which will be returned to the user. So user will get to know that, okay, this is the count of a word Priya in the complete 16 TB file that we have. So this is how the functions will be designed. So always remember, mapper function is designed to have a individual value of every component that you have in a list. Reducer function is designed to get a single result out of all the values that you have. And filter is specifically designed to get a subset wherever the filtration is required. For example, someone is saying that, I want to get a odd number values from a given list. Filter will be required. I want to get a even number values. Filter will be required. In a complete set of a list, you want to check it out. Wherever the checking part is there, constraint is there, checking is there. Wherever you have to apply, it's like a if else condition. So you want to apply a if else condition, right? In normal terms, in normal code. Wherever this kind of a constraint is there, where you have to apply if else condition, that's where you can apply a filter function. Inside that, you can write a Lambda code, and you will be able to get done the task in a very single line of a code. I hope that this part is also pretty much clear to everyone. So these four functions are the topic of today's session, where I want to talk about the utility of Lambda functions, followed by map, filter, and reduce. Now, again, please try to check it out at your own. Now, I will not talk about the result of this. Think over it. I have talked about the four functions. Now, think over it. Do you apply map? Do you apply only single Lambda function will be helpful? Or do you apply filter, or do you apply reduce to get this output done? And let me know in the comment section. Whosoever is giving me the correct right result, I will obviously respond to that this is the correct output, so that everyone will be able to get that result. Okay, let's see who will be able to give me the correct answer in this particular case, which basically helps me to understand as well that whether you will be able to get the correct idea from this session or not. So this is all about the today's session which I want to discuss. If you have any sort of doubt from your part, you can ask me. Otherwise, we can wrap up the session. I think it's being 52 minutes I'm talking about. Now I'll take your questions, okay? Sharma ji is saying, what are the two parameters to be given in a filter command in Python? So I will explain it again. I have already talked about. So see, whenever you're talking about a filter function, first thing is the function which you want to define. Here you can define your def kind of a function, which we usually define, or you can define a Lambda function. The function value you can define here inside this filter function. So here, first parameter is a function itself, where let's say you want to get the even element. So I have defined a function here. After that, the second parameter is on which particular data structure you want to apply this function. So I want to apply this on L3. So I have mentioned L3 here. So this is how basically you can apply the filter function. Now, if you will apply simple normal filter function, it will return you the object of that. If I'll show you this also, so if I'll just run this, you will be able to get that it is giving me the object. I want to get a list of this, so I will typecast this value into a list and store the values in the L4. And finally, I have printed the value of L4 here. Okay. Okay, I understood. We can use map and filter functions to apply conditions to a specific list. Yes. So do let me know the exact way for which you will be able to get that result. Okay. Uh, can we use multiple functions in a single problem? Definitely yes. It completely depends on the problem to problem. Which problem you're talking about specifically, you can use that. Very good. Thank you so much. Any other doubt anyone is having apart from this? So the session is completely, again I am saying, is available in the playlist part. If anyone wants to revise it again in the after the session, you can check it out. Mastering Python functional tools, Lambda, map, reduce, and filter. All the content, whatever I have written it down, the today's file, I'll share it in my GitHub profile. You will be able to check it out and get from there, right? I have already pinned my WhatsApp channel link, where I used to do the announcements a lot. Whatever be the next upcoming thing will be there. So if you want to join me there as well, you can join me out. uh, Apart from this, if you have anything to talk, you can check it out. I think we can use L1 dot intersection L2 to get common elements. Okay, just try it out, get the result, and then let me know. So my question was can you apply the functions that we have discussed today to get that result? Okay, so if possible, how? Very clear. Thank you so much. Thanks everyone. I hope that the today's session is also very insightful for everyone. I'll see you all very soon in the upcoming sessions where we will discuss further things. And there is a new upcoming episode also is about to come. So please stay tuned. Please do join my WhatsApp channel link. Please do subscribe to the channel. Please do share these kind of videos to everyone. It really helps me to reach to a wider audience. I always say this kind of a thing, right? Because the more you will share on LinkedIn platform, I think that's the good platform where you can share the things which whatever things, whatever learning you're getting from there. So it will really help me to reach towards more students. There are still so many people who are not even aware about this channel, and I think I'm doing a lot of hard work. I'm uh, giving you all a lot of time. The only thing which I'm requesting from you all is this only, and I think I really deserve that as well. So please do share your part, and thank you so much to join me live. It really means a lot. I hope that this session is really insightful for everyone. Bye bye and see ya.